Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again today. You're watching In Deep on the Delta, and this is the weekly Delta Fishing Report for April 22nd. We've got a lot to go over, so we're going to hop right into it right now. And I'm going to start off this week talking about Clear Lake. Have a little bit of information for you guys that may not have been up there that you may be interested in. Number one, the lake is fishing well. Tournaments are producing 25-pound bags to win, but the real story is middle of the pack guys. 100 boat tournament, the guys that are around 50, they're picking up 15, sometimes 17-pound bags just to get in the middle of the pack. So that's a really good thing. That's telling the average guy that's going to go up there on the weekend, he's probably going to be able to go up there and catch fish. So that's really good. The other good thing is it's kind of junk fishing. Guys are throwing worms, drop shots, shaky heads, all the standard stuff. You don't have to go up there and be an expert on swim baits or A-rigs or any special one special technique. You can catch fish on a number of techniques. Top waters are starting up there, so fishing is just generally good up there. And I'm getting my reports from Clear Lake Bait and Tackle. And I talked to Jimmy, who owns Clear Lake Bait and Tackle, and there is a situation that people are worried about, and it's the low water. It's about a foot low right now. Jimmy says the water is going down about an inch a day, and the local knowledge up there is saying that if the water keeps dropping, we don't get a bunch of rain or something to stabilize the level of the lake, they're predicting that sometime around the first part of July, the public ramps are going to close. And if they close, obviously you can't get your boat in there and you can't fish. So if you guys that are out there listening and you're Clear Lake guys and you like going up there once or twice a year, you haven't been up there yet, you're waiting for the fish to bite, I would go up now, and you may not have that opportunity after July. So head up there early instead of late, and enjoy the good fishing while it's there. And that's the report from Clear Lake Bait and Tackle. I also talked to John Liechty from Maloney's, and for the first time in about maybe 2 months, John's reporting just fair fishing. John's been on the water every day, and again, he's experienced. He is a guide up there, experienced guide service. He's on the water 6 days a week, and he is catching fish, but he is attributing his success just because he is on the lake 6 days a week. He knows where to go, how long to fish it, when to stay, and when to leave. If it wasn't for that knowledge, he said he would have a really tough time catching fish, and the people that he's talking to on the lake are not as happy as they were, say, 3 weeks ago. So if you were one of the guys up there 2 or 3 weeks ago saying, man, we were really killing them, the bite has kind of dropped off. And John is also saying the problem that he's seeing is that the lake is dropping. So this time of year when the fish are trying to spawn, they're coming in, the lake drops, they move out. Come back in, the lake drops, they move out. So what John's hoping for is this next moon phase, the lake will stabilize a little bit, the big females will come up in the shallow waters, you'll get a shot to catch those, and they'll have a good spawn up there, and things will be bright and rosy again. But again, water levels in all of the lakes, I'm sure, are a little bit concerning. We didn't get a lot of rain. Hopefully we'll get some snow runoff, and those lakes will level out, and the fishing will continue to get better through the summer. But that is Clear Lake and Maloney's. We'll jump right into the Delta, and a whole lot going on here on the Delta. And again, I want to just put a shout out to Outdoor Sportsman, Hook, Line, and Sinker. All of you guys that have been sending me reports, really helping me to give you guys the information that you may need to know to come out on the weekends. We'll start off with stripers, and I'll give the report from Captain Jeff from Soo Hoo Sportfishing. Great week for stripers. Captain Jeff had a 60 fish day a few days ago. Again, he had another 20-pounder in the mix this week. He got the big fish, the 20-pounder trolling a yozuri and a shallow diving yozuri about 4 feet deep. So there's a lot of shallow fish if you're trolling. Most of the fish are coming trolling when they're finding fish. Spooning is working. Obviously you can get fish on bait, you can get fish on plugs. They're spread out through the system. I was out Saturday in the Wild West Bass Tournament, and I noticed a lot of guys fishing around Edo right in the main channel, and they're trolling, they're bait fishing, they're doing everything. They're catching a lot of fish. Now, Captain Jeff is stationed in Antioch, and he is running up the Sacramento River. He's finding a little clearer water, so he says the fishing for him has been better in the Sacramento, running up kind of towards Rio Vista and even farther north. So you might want to take that into consideration. And if you're looking for a guide, I've been talking with Captain Jeff, and I've been specifically asking him questions about his guide service, and I'm really getting the feeling that he is a training, a teaching guide. So if you're a guy that's just bought a boat out here, you're not getting the action that you think, and you're looking for a guide that's not just going to take you out and put you on a few fish and send you home, he might be the guy that you want to talk to go out there, and he has no problem answering questions and getting you set up so that you can go out and start catching fish on your own. And sometimes just that one day is going to give you the confidence and the knowledge that it may take you a year or a couple years to learn on your own. So think about that if you're having trouble out there hiring a guy like Jeff from Soo Hoo Guide Service, and it may save you a lot of time on the water. That's the striper report. We're going to get right into the largemouth bass report. And you guys know that last week I was off the water, cutoff date for fishing the Wild West team tournament. I'm going to give you a rundown on what happened on that tournament because I think it's relevant to what's going on here in the Delta and a lot of the questions that I'm getting. I'm not going to get into what I did. If you want to know what my partner Troy and I did, I will be uploading a video just after this, and what I plan on doing is giving an in-depth report on what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. All the preparation, everywhere we were fishing, what we were thinking, how we were doing. We'll talk about the day of the tournament. We'll talk about the week leading up, what the conditions were doing, and what our thinking was, and what our plan was, and this, that, and everything that went into preparing for the tournament. And I'll also talk about what we did throughout the day on the tournament. I'll tell you exactly what we caught the fish on. I will tell you what we didn't catch fish on. I'll tell you where we went, not specific places, but I'll tell you how we moved around and what we tried to do, and hopefully that will give you guys an indication of, just what the heck we did to catch the fish that we caught. But that will be on a separate video, and that video will be in deep on the Delta Wild West team rundown or something of that. So anyhow, I would like to talk first about how that went. It was a very difficult day, 140 anglers. The Mark Lassane and Jody White won the tournament with 25.5 pounds. Congratulations to those guys. Kenny Ma and James Austin second with almost 23 pounds. Mike Andrews and Phil Dutra had 22.5 for third place. Not bad weights, but not good weights. It was a tough day, and out of 140 boats for the Wild West, and believe me, if you look at the rundown on who was in this tournament, there was some huge sticks. Middle of the pack, around 70, was 10.5 pounds. And this is a team tournament. You got two guys fishing, doing everything they can, and most of these guys are sticks on the Delta, and they manage only 10.5 pounds. I think there were somewhere around 30 boats that did not weigh in. Don't quote me on that, I'm just judging off the top of my head. There were somewhere around 50 boats that had under 10 pounds. That is tough fishing, and I wanted to relay that information to you guys because I've gotten a lot of correspondence this week, and people are frustrated about coming out here, and they're really trying to catch fish, and they are just having a difficult time catching any fish, not let alone big fish, just any fish, putting together a 5-fish limit. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the reports are, what they're catching them on, and I'm going to give you guys a couple of suggestions on what to look for out here real quick on this report. If you want the full report, like you say, check out the other video how we did in the tournament. This is the deal. Worms are still number one out here, but they're number one on catching lots of fish. They are catching big fish, but most of the fish that we've caught on worms and that I hear a lot of other people are catching are smaller fish. The bigger fish are coming on punching, a few on topwater. Chatterbaits are not catching a lot of fish, but they're catching bigger fish. Crankbaits have been non-existent in at least the reports that I'm getting. And also jerkbaits came into play this week, catching a lot of fish. Jerkbaits haven't been great for the last, they were very good through the winter up until about a month ago, and just the last couple weeks jerkbaits are starting to come into play, and I'm getting a lot of reports on people catching fish on jerkbaits. With that, buzzbaits came into play this week. Few reports guys were getting buzzbaits. Not a lot of fish on topwater, but bigger fish are coming on topwater. It's mainly buzzbaits and walking baits. Not a lot of frog fish that I'm hearing about. Every now and then somebody's catching a fish on a frog, but not consistently. That's going to get better as the water temperatures warm up. What I can suggest is if you are fishing worms, the number one technique that I would try is, number one, if you're fishing a 6-inch worm, go down to a 5-inch worm. And this is just to put a few fish in the boat. Go down to a 5-inch worm, green pumpkin or black blue flake, and fish drop shot, but rig your worm wacky style. Drop shot, wacky style, go to a 5-inch worm, maybe drop down to 10-pound test. That will probably get you the most action. So give that a try if you're not having action out here. Here's the other thing. The water temperatures are about 65, 66 degrees, maybe a little higher by the weekend. I'm again gonna predict that if we don't get a bunch of rain, which I hear there's going to be some a weather pattern come in a few days, it may get around that 70-degree mark, and that's gonna be I think that's gonna kick the fishing. And that it's just like when the water went from 48 to 50. It was only 2 degrees, but man, it really kicked the fish into the next gear. So when we have that 68 to 70, I think it's going to kick the fish into gear again. We also have to remember that there is a moon phase coming up, and if we have stable conditions, we're going to have a lot of fish pulling into the shallows again. And I'm hoping that this next moon phase in about 10 days or so, I forget when it is, that's going to be the telltale sign of how good the actual spawn is going to be for this year on the delta. So that's coming up on the next moon phase. This is the other thing that I want to talk about. Water clarity. Two things. One, we have no say over, and that is the shipping that's going on the channel. I can't remember when I've seen more ships come in and out, and I think it has to do with the COVID situation, and everything's getting back in gear, and they're really trying to ship. So they're coming in, they're unloading, they're going out. They're coming in and loading. I understand there is just a fleet of ships held up out in the bay, and they're just, waiting to get for one ship to go out and the next ship to come in. Here's the deal for weekend anglers. If you are fishing the channel and there's 3 or 4 ships coming up and down the channel a day on a weekend, that really throws the fishing off. If you're fishing within a quarter mile of the channel, and the main channel, and if you're fishing these little cuts and little back eddies and things, as those ships come by, they suck the water out, it flows in, it blows those places out. Now they will, the fish will reset, but geez, if you got 2, 3, 4 ships come in, they're constantly getting that flush in there, they're not going to be in there. So number one, stay away from the main channel and anywhere, I'll say a quarter mile within the main channel. The other thing is water clarity. We have great water clarity in the north, poor 2 to 4 foot visibility in the south. It's all good clarity. You can catch fish in any water clarity that we have out here. There's no chocolate milk out here that you can't catch the fish in. So up north, it's been a little tougher because the water is clear. If you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But this is what I want to get at, and nobody's talked about this. Water clarity can be 4 or 5 feet in one area, 4 or 5 feet in another area, but the color of the water is different. When you have wave action, boat action, clouding up the water and it's brown, I do not like that. Could be 5 feet of visibility. You could go a mile away and you still have that same 5 feet of visibility, but it doesn't get hit by the wind or a lot of boat action. And it's kind of that delta green color. I don't know what, I can't explain it. You guys know the difference. It's brown, kind of not chocolate, but brown. Stay away from that water. Even though you have 4 or 5 feet of visibility, I would stay away from that water. Still look for 4 or 5 feet of visibility, but look for that greener tinge, and I think that could be a clue to catching fish. So take that with a grain of salt. It's all 5 feet of visibility, but just remember, all 5 feet of visibility is not equal. Look for water color. Big fish, hit the punch, flipping, missile baits, beavers, doesn't matter what you're doing, just get into the heavy cover, flip up there. Those are what you're going to get your bigger fish on. Drop shot with a wacky worm, you'll get a lot of fish on. Start throwing some top waters, you may have some fun. You can get a big fish doing that. You're probably not going to get a lot of fish right now, but everything is going. And for you guys that have been struggling, man, I feel for you, because as much as I'm out here, I've had a subpar year. And my good days are not as good as they usually are, and my slow days are slower than they usually are. So it has been tough fishing out here, and I attribute that, a lot of it, to the clear water and just one of those years. Keep coming out here and trying. I know you guys are most of you guys, when you talk to me and you correspond, you're throwing the right baits, you're doing everything right, you're just here on the wrong day at the wrong time. You will find that day where you come out here and you're not going to change a whole lot. You're going to throw the same thing you threw a week ago and you caught one fish, and you're going to kill them out here. It just happens that way. I'll leave you with this. If you get a bite, especially if it's a big fish, don't sit down, have your lunch, and shake hands with everybody on the river telling them about the big fish you caught. Take a quick picture, drop that fish in the water, and keep fishing hard, as hard as you can fish for 20 minutes, because when the big fish bite, they all seem to bite. It's a short bite window. If you're in an area that you know and you just went through your prime area and you're moving out of that prime area and then you get your big fish, go back and refish the area that you consider your prime area for the next 15 minutes, because that could be the difference. Don't catch that one fish and say, oh, I got to go somewhere else, and leave. Stay in that same area, go back to your prime area and fish that hard, because it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. With that, if you see me on the water, come by and say hi. I will give you an honest, up-to-date report. I don't have any problems with letting you know how I'm doing, and I'd like to talk to you and see how you're doing again, so I can formulate next week's report. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the river next week, and good luck until then. Bye-bye.